Abraham Lincoln used to say, "You cannot fool all the people all the time." He could just have easily said, "You cannot please all the people any of the time." And we see in the gospel today that, and in the first reading as well from Isaiah, that people criticized John the Baptist because he was fasting and he led a very austere life, and they thought he was a fanatic. They criticized Jesus and called him a laxist because he lived an ordinary, common life, and he preached the mercy and love of God. No, he neither could really please everybody all the time. St. John of the Cross died in 1591. He was ordained a Carmelite priest at the age of 25, and he became friends with St. Teresa of Avila. And the two of them collaborated in living a very austere religious life. They both wanted to reform the Carmelite order, to restore it to being the discalced Carmelites. Discalced means that they didn't wear shoes. The calced Carmelites wore shoes. And they were John of the Cross lived by the fact that Jesus saying that every day, if you want to be my disciple, you have to take up your cross each day and follow me. And John of the Cross lived up to that intensely. He was so criticized and opposed by the people who did not want reform in the order that they put him in prison. And it was in the dark, damp cell of a prison that he realized that God was with him, and everything changed. His surroundings were horrible, but God was with him, and he had a unique sense of God's presence. And it was there that he composed much mystical poetry, that he talked about his spiritual life and wrote several books eventually on the spiritual life. But he was convinced that Jesus' words of "take up your cross and follow me" needed to be taken literally. We can see, as I said, about not pleasing people all the time. Ever since Vatican II in the church, there are some that said that we need to go back to the old ways, and there are others that are saying that we're not going forward fast enough. There are some who think that there should be reforms in one way or another, and others oppose it. We see this back and forth all the time. The one thing that we must realize is that God created us in his image and likeness, and he created the church in his image and likeness. And so the first thing that we must seek is the will of God. That's what we must seek first. If we find ourselves criticizing something, we should really pray to the Holy Spirit about it and ask for his guidance. If we think that some reform should take place, we need to, again, go to the Holy Spirit and ask for understanding. Ultimately, it is following the will of God that is ultimately most important. Starting with our Blessed Mother and all the saints in the church, their whole thing was following the will of God. Mary said, "Be it done unto me according to your word." And we have to say that every day too, that we might find it difficult what we're facing, but we say, let us follow the will of God. And the Lord will direct us by his Holy Spirit. He will, just as he did Mary and all the saints. And to do the will of God and to please him is what's most important. So I think that's a lesson from the scriptures today, as well as from St. John of the Cross, that whatever crosses we have in our life, to bear them out of love for God and to continue to ask his guidance in all that we think and all that we do. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.